Malady me we, and was a bomaloa, general for bra. Ah, equal Yiba.
Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. You are welcome to the JMA Connections, and today, of course, is Sunday, the 22nd of the month of February 2026. And I'm delighted to be here this Sunday. We just came away there from a short trip to Com. Com is in Boyo County. And of course, when it comes to, tradition, I mean, you don't joke with the Com people. In fact, the southern Cameroon is, it's a country, it's a territory rich in culture, especially, let me say, rich in cultural diversity. Because just far you're seeing on this platform, and I'm just unveiling, I still have a lot in store that will be coming from about all parts of the southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonia. So you understand that we are people with a very, very rich culture. I want to take this opportunity to say hello to all our people on ground zero on the territory in the southern Cameroons who will, of course, this Monday, the observing Country Sunday, if you're observing ghost towns, of course, in continuation of their avowed resistance to the colonial presence of the colonial administration and the forces of occupation of La République du Cameroon on our territory. So I want to extend to them hearty regards. They've been doing this for 9 years and counting, because we want to continue to tell the world that it will never be business as usual. And so I would like to extend special regards to all of our people on the territory in all parts of the southern Cameroon. So I don't want to call any part today so that nobody really feels excluded. I also want to say hello to all our people in the diaspora who usually take the occasion of Country Sunday, of those Mondays, to send support back home to our people, to, embolden them, to, hail them, and to encourage them to, show that we're standing in solidarity, that we continue to, keep the resistance alive. And lastly, I want to greet those who already picked up my clarion call and are reaching out to our people in Mbat, Lower and Upper Mbat, in Donga Mantung, and showing them support, showing them solidarity, and providing them with the necessary relief assistance following the barbaric actions of La République du Cameroon's military, the colonial forces, and in collaboration with Fulani militia. So I'd like to thank all of those who have picked, that call, and who are acting on it, and who are actively assisting our people, bringing them succor. I want to thank you very much and dove to you my heart. So today we'll be looking at some very interesting developments concerning, our liberation movement. And of course, we'll look at a few things that are happening in La République du Cameroon, which communicate a clear message to our people. The messages are always very clear. But before we get into that, I saw, quite a lot of you sent me these clips from this Ngaput they call Gary Boy. There's that Ngaput there on TikTok, they call Gary Boy. He calls himself Gary Boy. He told me another goon has been out there saying all kinds of things and, throwing some kind of jabs. So they sent to me then. I said, in a normal day, my normal day, I won't even waste time to, react to this. But because I know that, our people really believe so much in perception, people consider that if you are silent on certain stupid things, it means it's a key sense. I said, okay, let's share it a bit very briefly. And then I promise you it's going to be very brief. Just listen to the goon and I'll come back to it.
Today, then that Joshua Osi don talk say until John Ba Akoro comot am publicly talk say I am sorry, what I said was a lie. Like you no go leave the canals. You don't hold the canals and hold us over court. John Ba Akoro the same na men dey for gbagam they can't tell Joshua Osi say me release that case. Joshua Osi talk say lie to lie, you no go leave nothing. You don't tie John Ba Akoro the canals dey na tie and so say him go come publicly talk say wetin you be talking now na lie before you leave am. Yes, because that one day una say John Ba Akoro na who? Na just a normal person. Me show proof. Una no hear me. Una no accept to me. Today, na that Joshua Osi don talk say on.
So, I don't even know whether this one needs a reaction, but he said certain things that are really amazing and interesting. I don't know why Mr. Joshua Osi is playing this game. Joshua Osi, to me, I've always seen him while I was, back home, acting, working as a journalist. I'd always looked at him with respect because I thought that, operating within the milieu of the opposition, standing for the, in the interest, for the interest of the people was an honorable thing to do. But I'm a journalist, I'm a newsman, and news is news. Whoever asks, it gorges, it's a news. And there's nothing anybody can do about it, not even me. And I suppose that O.C. Joshua knew me back home very well. That when it comes to protecting the interest of the people, I don't have sacred cows. And because I don't have sacred cows, yeah, I was a publisher too. And a lot of them know. I recall we had a conversation with Nga Christian Bibgo once of the Guardian Post. I said, the way you're operating, it seems you don't have sacred cows because I see the way you're attacking some people that I thought were really your friends. I said, no, you're my friend. Yes, we do our friendship aside. But when it comes to protecting the interest of the people, we have to do things right. So I don't know why O.C. Joshua needs to hire a town crier like this one. And then you want to get a real person, not a goon, not a ngaput who doesn't even know how to place his things to come and be talking trash. I pointed out here before, I've not been served. So I don't even know that there's a matter in court. So, strangely enough, you don't know even that there's a matter in court. You have not received any summons. And then there are talks of you going behind people, begging people, sending people to O.C. Joshua to come and plead with him. Please allow me to laugh. Today is Sunday. So, although some of the things that are happening to our people on the territory do not really allow me to feel like really giving a loud laugh. And the moment too doesn't really give me that chance to laugh. But this really calls for, serious laughter. I don't know why you need to go through all of those things. I know that this goon, or he calls himself Gary Boy, or whatever, is really a Gary Boy. He needs food to eat and all whatnot. So you think that maybe when you back all of these things and shout at that, you go and get maybe some 10,000 or 5,000 saving from OC. And he doesn't even end there. He makes some very interesting and extremely laughable allegation. Hear him again.
Now so all una begin put fire, put flames. Una go struggle tell you now say make am apologize publicly. Yes, because don't tie canals. Don't tie canals. Hold am now, hold am so. If you want to beg now, beg say me the beg Joshua see me release it. Joshua say no. You know if tarnish my image like this, destroy my political career, and then you want to beg for background say my liver. I said, John Ba Akoro, una sure say he be do this thing so. Just for tarnish for destroy Joshua Osi. Una not sure say Atanga pay John Ba Akoro. Una not say Atanga pay John Ba. John Ba Akoro get what advantage we get for destroy Osi Joshua. Gary boy then for this fight to the liberation of Cameroon, una can shock the really black like them. I swear to God, una go ever can shock. Now so all una begin.
So this is very amazing. This is what I say. There's no crime that is perfect. That's why you hear the goon, or sorry about that, he calls himself Gary Boy. I hear him come and say, as a matter of fact, what interest does John Ba Akoro have in bringing down the image of O.C. Joshua? That is the question I've asked myself. What interest do I have for just coming out there from the blues for no good reason to bring down the image of O.C. Joshua? I don't have that interest. By the way, these are people that I've worked with yesterday. O.C. Joshua and I were not strangers to each other. We know each other one-on-one. He knows what I'm made of and know what he's made of. And as a matter of fact, like the gentleman pointed out himself, I have just one interest. That interest that I have is the interest of the people of the southern Cameroons who are being played in this kind of nonsense. People who are being given false aspirations. People who are being, taken for, for granted. As people give the impression that they're actually doing something on their behalf. Whereas they are playing with the same system that they claim to want to bring down. There's one thing that the people asked of not just O.C. Joshua, because he's not alone. They asked the same thing too of Cabral Libi. They asked the same thing too of Serge Espoir Matomba. They asked the same thing too of Bello Buba Maigari. Can you people bring out your own election return sheets from the polls so that they should compare with those that Issa Chiruma's team brought out? And they have been able to use them to establish that there was fraud. And now if Paul Biya and the CPDM are saying that no, those things, they are fake and all of those things, bring yours too. Because if they could bring theirs, it will be easier to establish where the truth is. Hell no, none of them, not one of them has ever produced the same things. And then all you have to do is go get, some Gaput who don't even understand, what effective communication is all about to come and be talking trash about Bayakuro. I know you say, Atanga Ponji, Atanga Ponji who are chased through the streets of Manhattan in New York, Atanga Ponji whom are chastised right under his roof in Yaoundé, the presence of Christian Gabigbo. You know, Christian Gabigbo asking, he will tell you this. I don't have anything to justify to anybody. O.C. Joshua said he's taken me to court. It's simple. It's a normal process. Once I receive a summons, of course I will indicate and I will know that I have a case to answer. For now, that has not yet happened. And I'm not about to continue on this matter on social media. And I want to take this opportunity to solemnly express thanks to all the people who have been reaching out to me regarding this matter, sharing this kind of videos and others to me. And I want to, say, with effect from today, I'm not coming back to this matter until it gets to where it has to get to. Until there is any development on it, I will not be talking about it anymore. I will not entertain any such inanities on it anymore. They can sing what they care. They can shout whatever they are shouting. Listen, you talk about support. I'm receiving enormous support from a lot of SDF militants. A lot of SDF militants have sent to me a lot of documentation, even a lot of paperwork. There is much more to this than anyone even knows. There is much more in the offing than anyone even knows. And to say the least, I'm sitting, I'm quiet. I'm waiting. The day I'll be served, I will talk about it. Absent that, with effect from this day, that matter for me is closed. And I want to thank you very much. To all of those who have been, reaching out. I thank those who have been reaching out and offering assistance. When the time comes. And I thank those lawyers and men and women of law who have indicated that they will be available, if need be, to assist in this matter, to make sure that the truth prevails, that fact remains fact. That said, you must have seen this poster flying on social media with a lot of laughter. You see, this lady, Mad Cecile Mika, she should have written this out of excitement. When you see her name, you understand that she definitely is from the south region, or from the Bulu Beti Ekang clan. And this clearly tells you something, because it says merci président Paul Biya pour la libération des prisonniers Ekang. Nous des enfants, nous te disons merci papa. Now, she is referring here to the release of two people who have been in jail for many years, who are accused of embezzling huge sums of money from the corporations where they were assigned to work. And you know that at least 90% of the state corporations in Cameroon are manned for decades by indigenes from Bulu, Ekang, Beti ethnic groups. And so Gilles Roger Bellinga, that's a him that you can see there with the arrow on his head, is one of those two who were released last week. Gilles Roger Bellinga was the Director General of SIC. SIC, that is the housing corporation that's supposed to provide low-cost housing for the working people in the country. But a lot of those houses end up in the hands of the very powerful elite who already have all the means to build for themselves huge mansions. And they take those houses at 20,000 francs, 30,000 francs per month, and now retail them to the same people for whom those houses were designed. The needy people at 70,000, 80,000 francs per month. This is not rocket science, it's something that's happening even as I speak. And so Gilles Roger Bellinga has been in jail for, was given a 35-year sentence, and then it was reduced on appeal to 20 years. And, he was accused of having embezzled 3 billion CFA francs. The question you will ask here is, as he is released, as he regains his freedom, how much of this money did the state recover from Gilles Roger Bellinga? How much of this money? We're talking of 3 billion, 3 million. There is no record anywhere of him ever returning a single franc CFA to the state. When you look at Gilles Roger Bellinga coming out of jail, you see he even looks fresh because they spent time in Konengi, living in opulence, drinking champagne, having a good life with the money. And a lot of that money was stashed in banks and in banks here and there, and they are coming back out to continue living good on that money while the ordinary man suffers. That's not all. The other person on that list is Emmanuel Gérard Ondondo.
Attends, bienvenue, Sa Majesté. On ne pleure plus. On avait beaucoup pleuré.
You see the red carpet reception that Emmanuel Gérard Ondondo, who was Director General of the Mutual Council Support Fund, that's FECOM, that was meant to support the various local councils in their development efforts. Emmanuel Gérard Ondondo was known to all as someone who spent money like nonsense. I recall once, we're having a conversation with a close friend to Otto Marcelin. Otto Marcelin is a musician in La République du Cameroon. Otto Marcelin was invited to see Emmanuel Gérard Ondondo because he had performed at a ceremony where Ondondo was present. And so when he went to Emmanuel Gérard Ondondo, he always moved with his guitar. In the waiting room, he waited there for a while. When he was called in, of course, he left his guitar and went in to see Emmanuel Gérard Ondondo. And what Ondondo told his private secretary was, on va le déstabiliser, that we would destabilize him. This guy sat there peacefully. He knew if he was to have an envelope, perhaps 100,000, 50,000, or whatsoever for petrol as gratification. This is a guy who, I mean, for all his work, had never seen those huge sums of money. This guy gave Otu Marcelin, just for paying him a visit, 1.3 million. And the story goes that Otu Marcelin even went out and forgot his guitar at the place because he was confused. He was effectively destabilized. That's how Emmanuel Gérard Ondondong functioned. He greeted people with money. Whose money? State money. You will recall that during the trial of Emmanuel Gérard Ondondong, a lot of the time they asked him what happened to the bill, because his was over 10 billion that he was charged with embezzling. And a lot of the time he said that a lot of the money he moved out was to sponsor the activities of the First Lady of Cameroon, Chantal Biya. And that a lot of the time it's Chantal Biya herself who asked for the money. He was warned in court several times to stop calling that name. Else. But this is him. You look at him, still looking very gorgeous. Take a look at him. You see the red carpet reception. You see the way he even, chauffeur driven back home. You see, I mean, the arrangement, there's a speech he made that I just found that speech, stupid and useless to play on this platform. But look at that. Why would they not thank the head of state? Why would you not thank Biya? Because he's coming back into the opulence that he stole from the state. But while Emmanuel Gérard Ondondong, who stole billions, he was charged like with stealing tens of billions from the state, and he was initially sentenced to about 40 years imprisonment and in prison, and the sentence kept being reduced progressively until I think he ended up with about 20 years or something of the sort. That's why you will see this person say, nous remercions le président Paul Biya, and all of them are thanking Paul Biya for setting them free. Now, on the flip side of this, look at Zaccheus Fonjindam. Zaccheus Fonjindam was the Director General of the shipyard company, Chantier Naval. Fonjindam took the shipyard company when the capital was 45 million CFA francs. And the company was unable to survive. When they appointed Zaccheus Fonjindam there, he was actually appointed and installed by the late Simon Achidiachu because he had confidence in his capacity. The Minister of Finance at the time refused to install Zaccheus Fonjindam. They refused because they felt that that position ought to be reserved for the Bulu Ekang Betis. But the capital was just 45 million CFA, and the company was not doing well. Achidiachu wanted this company to perform. Zaccheus Fonjindam, by the time he fell from grace, he had taken the operating capital of that company from 45 million to 45 billion. Did you hear that well? From 45 million to 45 billion. And the company was in constant profitability. Fonjindam was accused, was arrested, was charged, and what they were saying he embezzled at the end of the day was 245 million. Listen well, 245 million CFA francs. 245 million CFA francs. Gilles Roger Bellinga just said there was 3 billion. Emmanuel Gérard Ondondong, several billions. Zaccheus Fonjindam was sentenced to 12 years. He appealed because obviously he felt he could give all justification to indicate he did not embezzle money. But on appeal, he was handed a life jail sentence. On appeal, he was handed a life jail for 245 million. These are people. This is why you will see this lady come out here and pompously publish here, merci au président Paul Biya pour la libération des prisonniers Ekang. It's simple. It's just like Marafa Amidou Yaya, who's from the north, who will never see the light of day out there as long as Paul Biya is in power. Even if he completes his prison term, they will come up with other trumped up charges. For Zacchaeus Fonjindam, the biggest crime he committed was because he decided to extend the shipyard company to Limbe, where he started constructing a platform. And they saw it that this was an attempt to force the government's hand to eventually construct a deep sea port in Limbe, a thing they never ever want to do. And the reason is obvious, because they feel that the southern Cameroons does not have to have any form of development that could empower the people. Because if the people are empowered and the people have access to things that could make them feel empowered, they could really have the possibility of, pushing through at all levels to stand on their own. And the person that pushed this button so seriously was Laurent Esso, Minister of Justice, because he wanted a specific contract at the Chantier Naval given to a company that is one of his shell companies at a cost so horrible. That contract was not being handled by Chantier Naval. It was the contract that Chantier Naval actually went in, put in a bid before the Cameroon government and won. And no, did not win. It was given to a French company, which is one of the shell companies owned by Laurent Esso. But when they won the contract at a much higher cost than Chantier Naval had put in a bid, they brought the thing back to Chantier Naval to execute at the amount they had put in a bid for. So that the French company, which is partially owned by Laurent Esso, should defraud the state of huge sums of money. When Zacchaeus said no, that won't be possible. If they can't execute, they should void it and they'll take it. He had to pay the price plus the sins that they were already accumulating on him because of what they considered to be his desire to foster the construction of a deep sea port in Limbe, something they did not want to do. So for 245 million or something around that, I might be missing the right figure, but it is around that range, Fonjindam Zacchaeus is serving life jail. When I tell the people of the southern Cameroons, including those members of the CPD and crime syndicates who are calling themselves elite here and there, that even you will never belong in La République du Cameroun, they tell us to go to the blues. We tell them this liberation movement, the southern Cameroons, is existential in nature. And we have to do everything that it takes to guarantee our freedom. They prefer to play with the oppressor because they are thinking that they will get some sinecure benefits and all of those things, but they don't go a long way. Because at the end of the day, when you fall in their trap, you pay the price more than anyone else. You are still a second-class citizen. You are still a southern Cameroonian. You are still a Biafran. You are still ennemi dans la maison. It will never change. The only salvation, the real freedom that you will enjoy is becoming part of this liberation movement that guarantees real freedom. Self-determination will be the only way to make the people of the southern Cameroons regain our lost dignity. This is something that you need to know. And these things happen every day, and we see them. That said, let's step up quickly onto this other story, which is very interesting. That's what I announced first. Mr. Maurice Kamto has been really, angry lately to the point where he issued this missile to the government of Cameroon. In this press statement, Mr. Professor Kamto, Maurice Kamto, feels that the government of Paul Biya has, crossed a line which, should definitely not be crossed, because by doing what they are doing, confiscating the remains of Anise George Ekane, that is Anise George Ekane that you're seeing on my screen there, where he was chained to his hospital bed just before he died. But the remains of Anise George Ekane are yet to be returned to the family. The remains of Anise George Ekane are yet to be returned to the family. And that is causing enormous pain to the entire family. It's causing enormous pain. And Maurice Kamto says he definitely cannot understand why, right up to this moment, the government of Cameroon has decided to confiscate the remains of Anise George Ekane, who died in very rugged circumstances. And he writes, on 24th of October 2025, the national president of Manidem, Mr. Anise Ekane, was arrested in Douala and taken to Yaoundé. Hooded like a wild animal, he was locked in a cell at the Secretariat of State for Defense, deprived of the medical device that was sustaining his life. He died on the 1st of December 2025. 3 months after this painful loss, the circumstances surrounding his death have not been clarified. Worse still, despite the numerous requests addressed to the state authorities, the mortal remains of Anise Ekane have still not been returned to his family, who are thus deprived, without any known reason, of the body of a loved one and are unable to organize his funeral and finally begin their mourning. This retention of the body of a Cameroonian citizen, moreover a well-known leader of a political party, when the known elements indicate that his death was orchestrated, is incomprehensible unless it serves only to reinforce the sense of a political assassination. We strongly denounce these barbaric and inhumane practices worthy of the most obscurantist dictatorships. Whatever the regime in power reproached Anise Ekane for, he did not deserve the odious treatment inflicted upon him at the end of his life, nor the abject desecration of his memory and the obscene punishment imposed on his family, relatives, and members of his political party. This regime did not respect Anise Ekane's political choices during his lifetime. It must respect his dignity as a human being in death. We call upon the Cameroonian authorities to release the body of Anise Ekane and return it to his grieving family in order to bring an end to their unspeakable suffering, as well as that of the deceased relatives and all those who knew, loved, and respected him in political life or within society at large. At the same time, we demand the immediate release of all political prisoners and prisoners of conscience, including those arrested in connection with the post-electoral crisis of October 2025, a significant proportion of whom are minors. Done in Yaoundé, 21st of February 2026, Professor Maurice Kamto, National President of the CRM. Now, you look at this. You say, this is a horrible form of treatment that you should give to a fellow human being. You kill a man, you should at least allow for his remains to be buried. You kill a man, you should at least allow for his family to give him a befitting burial. Why they are talking Anise Ekane, I've been saying this and saying it aloud. Why Anise Ekane's remains have been with the Cameroon government for 3 months and counting. The remains of Samuel Wazizi have been with the Cameroon government for many years now and counting. No one has ever told the family of Samuel Wazizi where his remains are. No one has ever told the family of Samuel Wazizi what really caused his death. No one has ever told the family of Samuel Wazizi when they will receive his remains for a befitting burial. But Samuel Wazizi is not a citizen of La République du Cameroon. Therefore, there is no sustained effort to request for accountability regarding not only his very egregious death, but the whereabouts of his remains. Every now and then we'll hear them talk of Martinez Zogo. Do not forget too that Martinez Zogo's remains are still at the mortuary. Yeah, Martinez Zogo has not yet been buried. It's like it's a tradition that way. But at least you have people screaming every now and then, Martinez Zogo. There are even people in jail because of Martinez Zogo, because of his death. But there's nobody in jail anywhere. There's nobody being questioned anywhere about the disappearance and eventual death of Samuel Wazizi. All the people were told was that he was captured by the thugs of La République du Cameroon. He was taken to Yaoundé and he died at the infirmary. Where are the remains? Until today, nobody knows. Until today, nothing has been said. And there are people from the southern Cameroons claiming that they are our elected representatives, claiming that they talk on our behalf. None of them, none of those members of the CPDM crime syndicates who claim to be our elite have ever opened their lips for once and asked for accountability for Samuel Wazizi. At least we can see on the other side of the aisle how people are at least rising to ask for accountability regarding the fate of their people. The people of the southern Cameroons, we should always recall, we should always know this. We are on our own. And because we are on our own, we have to fight. We have to do everything it takes to ensure that we get that freedom that we deserve. While I should not say that I'm against, because I'm not against Maurice Kamto asking for the release of the remains of Anise George Ekane. It's a normal thing to do. I only take the opportunity to highlight the plight of the people of the southern Cameroons. And if you think that this is a joke, if any of you who even sits and thinks that any form of union or continuous arrangement tying the people of the southern Cameroon to those of La République du Cameroon will ever be a harbinger of anything good for our people, I'd like you to watch this statement by the late venerated chairman of the SDF party, Ni John Frundi. Ni John Frundi, as a man, might have had his weaknesses, but Ni John Frundi was one that always never held it back when he needed to say what he felt was the right thing to say about the sufferings of the people. Do not forget, he was the first to point out authoritatively that Atanga na Ponji, through Jonathan Mujini, people in Ngala Gerard and others had parallel militia that they were using to create camps to operate as if they were Southern Cameroon's freedom fighters, so that they should commit egregious acts and impute those on the people of the Southern Cameroons, so that the world should tag us terrorists. Ni John Frundi never mince words saying this, and he said it over and over and over. At the Grand National Dialogue, or National Monologue in Yaoundé, Ni John Frundi departed even a bit from the stance of his political party, then the SDF, for a federal system, but not two-state federation, to talk about a two-state federation. And the other things he raised, listen, just hear, watch the reaction of the citizens of La République du Cameroon, who were the majority at a session that was purportedly called to address the concerns of the people of the southern Cameroons. Because when I say for those people, they're just as okay as it is with the status quo, because we are supposed to be their prisoners, we are second-rate citizens, and we should accept our fate. Some people think this is a joke. Watch and listen.
State federation. No. Right. Yes. And in this two-state federation, the Northwest and the Southwest will still have federated states within that area. Because in the absence of that, the Anglophone marginalization will still continue in the 10-state federation.
Now, just take in. You heard him when he talked about the two-state federation, in which the people of what they call today Northwest and Southwest will be in their own state, minding their own affairs, enforcing their own legal systems, their own educational system, and defining their development priorities, what is the reaction of the people? You hear him say himself that the majority of the people there were citizens of the Republic of Cameroon, whereas this session was purportedly called to address the concerns of the people of the southern Cameroons. You get the reaction. Now, have you ever tried to know why is it that these people feel absolutely that we must be with them in a unitary state, that we must be under them, that they must have their way? Because they are convinced that we are conquered people. They are convinced that they already subdued us, and they are convinced that we have to remain in slavery and servitude under them for life. That's why in their minds it is the might that is right. Oh my goodness, I did not take it. We had but Anita George Ekane there on my screen. Apologies for that. Let us get that fixed right now. So you see, it's painful. It's painful as a reality, but that is exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. So those who are still moving around today and talking about federation, we go to the two-state federation and all of those things, you are daydreamers. Daydreamers. Because for La République du Cameroon, that will never ever come for discussion. For La République du Cameroon, the only way for the people of the southern Cameroons to ever restore our dignity, to ever restore our humanity, we need to kick La République du Cameroon out of our territory. That is the only way that we ever come out of this. Otherwise, I can assure you, the misery will not only continue, it will get worse by the day. Let's finish up with Frundi. Still very amazing what you will hear.
Been shared by a personality outside the Prime Minister. This conference would have been preceded by a ceasefire, followed by general amnesty to enable the participants of all the major stakeholders to be present. Because we cannot say that we are here for a general conference to stop the issues, to take care of what is happening on the field. Meanwhile, there are people still being killed in the northwest and southwest now that we are talking.
Unfortunate. That's unfortunate.
Because you cannot be talking of dialogue when there's no ceasefire. Today we are standing in the face of one of the most shameful situations in our country since independence and unification in 1961. Thousands have been killed. Innumerable persons have been maimed. Women raped. Hundreds of villages razed down. Property destroyed. Business ventures destroyed. Schools destroyed. And our children deprived of education for 3 years. All this is as a result of the irresponsibility of and intransigence and the arrogance of the regime in place. We have the responsibility. Yes, I stand by my word. There's arrogance, and the Anglophone has been treated with impunity. So, if you think that, Mr. Prime Minister, this is the problem in the country. This is the problem we're having. Why that the Francophone thinks that the Anglophones have no right and no say in this country. You say your word, or we'll say what we want to say, and they'll do their own way. And this conference was someone to take care of Anglophone problems. And if Francophones have come in, they should quietly listen and they take their position. I know with a majority here, you'll say go and do what you want to do.
Mr. Chairman, please stick to your speech.
Yeah. But please, do not think that you can shut me down. You cannot. Let us look at these children. They are supposed to come from the bushes. They are your grandchildren here seated. These children never knew anything of the Anglophone culture. But because they saw the marginalization, dehumanization, and the way Anglophones in this country were treated, they went to the bush. Here they are here seated today. And you are telling me here you. You are telling me here you. Your Excellencies, fellow Cameroonians, ladies and gentlemen, I know that I'm a national figure, but I come from Bamenda.
So,
I come from the Anglophone area. And I think I feel where the shoe pinches that most of you here say, no, no, no.
This will be resolved. So, you notice, John Frundi is, in this instant, very clear, very categorical about certain things. But unlike you, you have watched. You have seen the reactions of the people in the room. Because although the so-called Grand National Dialogue was called purportedly to address the concerns of the people of the Southern Cameroons, the majority of those present were citizens of La République du Cameroon because they needed to come to enforce their will. And you see, when someone stood up to say the thing as it was, he was simply booed. Some have asked, but Mr. Frundi could articulate the problems of the Southern Cameroons in this manner. He could talk about these things in this kind of fashion. Why did he run into problems with the liberation movement? That will be talk for another day. But what I wanted to point out to each and every one of us, especially those daydreamers still moving around and calling themselves federalists, is to see that that path is the path of confusion, is a path of perdition. We need to all come together and focus on the one thing that's most important for us now. Because this conflict for the people of the Southern Cameroons is really existential. In a news talk that I'll be hosting later today, it will be 10 p.m. West African time, Central African time, and 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. There are a lot of things I'll be talking about exactly some of the challenges that as a people we have faced. I'll be looking at new strategies that need to be put in place to ensure that internal dissent is handled in as responsible a manner as can enable our liberation movement to score the goals that it has to score on the international scene. So I want to thank each and every one of you who was part of this broadcast. If this is your first time on this channel today, share the link as much as you can, share as much as possible. Let's get to as many people as possible. And of course, do not forget to subscribe. Do subscribe so that you stay informed, because anytime the news breaks, we meet here to make greater meaning out of it. And most especially, do not also forget to hit the like button. It goes a long way. Thank you very much for your very kind attention. Of course, to God be the glory.
Maladi me we ntuoza bomlo a jengna fo bua yikwavru yiba